Storage everywhere. What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharp, and welcome to my least profitable yet favorite podcast, Sharp Sports Talk. I am joined by resident Dolphins fan, Miami J. Miami J, what's going on? How you feeling? How you feeling after the historic 70 points that the Dolphins put on the Broncos?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. I'm definitely still very cautiously optimistic. I don't want to read too much into it. It's an anomaly that we put up 70, but I'm feeling very, very happy.
Dude, 70 points. Like, that's a goddamn college score, bro.
Oh, I was doing
video game.
I was looking at it earlier. 18 teams in the NFL haven't scored 70 through 3 weeks. The Dolphins did it in 1 game.
And they did it. They essentially did it in 3.5 quarters.
And with a Waddle.
Yeah, it could have been more.
And they didn't have Jalen Waddle. And I think 21 points were scored by their scrubs.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Next up is resident Cowboys fan, and I think he has kind of a love-hate relationship with the Cowboys, as most Cowboys fans do. It is Jay Blaze.
I love to hate them.
Yes. You love to hate the Cowboys. So how are you feeling about the Cowboys going out to Arizona and laying a stinker?
I was not surprised because, dude, they we'll get into it later, but they're just a dumpster fire. Like, it's awful. Being a Cowboys fan, it's awful.
Yes, it is. It is. I'm sure you probably keep up with Stephen A's Twitter, as a lot of people do. Okay, guys. So the way this works, guys. Yes, this is our sports talk. This is our sports talk podcast. Feel free to ask any questions about any topics in sports. And it doesn't have to be on topic, as long as it's about sports. So long as it's about sports, no question is off limits, whatever the case may be. And don't worry about us getting off topic. I have hosted many panels over many years, and I'm damn good at it. So don't worry about getting off. Don't worry about getting off topic or whatever. I'm pretty good at steering the ship. So, all right, let's go ahead and get to the first topic at hand. So, over the weekend, the Colorado Buffaloes' dream season came to an end in Eugene, Oregon, like most of us predicted. They got absolutely drubbed, 42-6. Bo Nix lit it up. Shedeur Sanders was running for his life. To me, I think the indictment was really the offensive line. I think if they get better protection for Shedeur, I think that game definitely has a different outcome. Miami J, what are your thoughts on this whole Colorado run so far? And does this mean that the season is essentially over for Colorado? Where do they go from here?
It might be over. It might not. We still got to see. But I've heard a lot of people talking about this is a referendum on Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders got out coached. Look, you take Deion Sanders out of this equation, that's the predictable score that you would have had in this game.
There you go.
Okay. Deion Sanders did not get out coached. He got out talented.
That's it. That's exactly right.
There's just so much more talent on the Oregon side of the sidelines than there is on the Colorado sidelines. This was a very predictable score, as much as we want to hype up Colorado right now.
Okay, very good. Jay Blaze, was this what you expected, or how did you feel about that?
So Deion's 2 years away from being competitive in these types of games. And dude, you can't, like, he hasn't had like a good recruiting class yet.
Right.
So and his offensive lineman, like, he needs to get a couple, like, 4-star recruits to even protect against some of these like really good defensive linemen.
No, I agree. And I agree with Miami J. I think they were definitely out-talented this past Saturday. But it's like I said before. It's like I said the last time we did this. The time to beat the Buffaloes is right now, because this is the worst the Colorado Buffaloes are going to be. Next year, they're going to be even better. And then the year after that, they're going to start contending for playoffs. And might I remind you, the college football playoff expands to 12 teams next year. Colorado might actually mess around and get into the college football playoff. And once you get to the playoffs, anything can happen.
If I'm placing bets in Vegas as to next year who's going to get into the playoffs, Colorado, I'm definitely putting a little bit of money on it.
Okay, very good. Very good. Yeah, I think I would too. What about you, Blaze?
Did you see the Whitlock tweet?
No, I did not.
So he said, hey, at least Colorado didn't miss every block. And Whitlock showed a screenshot of Deion blocking him.
Yeah, I don't understand I don't understand Jason. See, the thing is as I've watched and I've listened to Jason Whitlock for years, and he's, we have a lot in common in terms of the way we think about the world, our worldview. But it just seems that he goes out. I'm getting an echo from somebody. All right. It just seems that he goes out of his way. Especially when it comes to black people, he is always on the side of the person that's not the black person. And maybe that's right, maybe that's wrong, who knows? But I don't see anything wrong with what Deion Sanders is doing, yet Whitlock seems to have a huge problem with it. I just don't understand it. Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
I think he can't stand the media elevating him to like idol status.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yep. Okay. What do you
If
think,
he was like low tier, if he was like a low end story where no one was covering him, I think he would be all aboard him.
Okay. What about you, Miami J?
I have no thoughts on that. I didn't see the Whitlock comments, so I'm not.
Yeah. He's getting boringly predictable with a lot of his takes. It's
Like
really
Skip Bayless.
Yeah. Well, geez, Skip Bayless. Yeah, you already know how he feels about everybody. Our next topic. So the New York Jets, they hosted the New England Patriots. We're going to talk about that a little bit later today. They lost 15-10, and well, Zach Wilson looked like Zach Wilson. Is it? I think this question is obvious, but you never know. We might get some different answers. Is it over for Zach Wilson in New York? Miami J, what do you think?
Well, the media certainly seems to think it is.
Okay.
I think it is too. Thank God you didn't start him against me in fantasy because you would have lost him. That's the score we really need to be talking about.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think you beat me by 3, right?
Like 3
Not even.
some change, maybe. It was a tight game till the very last quarter of the Eagles game. But I mean, will they bring in a free agent? No, because there's nobody out there to get, really. I mean, Who are they going to get? They should have got a real third stringer before Aaron Rodgers went down. They never had one, so now they're stuck.
Yep, now they are stuck. What are your thoughts, Jay Blaze?
I think Zach should go to a smaller market.
Yeah.
Dude, New York hype is like a little too beyond him right now. And dude, he needs to learn how to actually play quarterback because you see him, he looks like lost and he's like running for his life, dude. And this is why I feel bad for him because he was supposed to be behind Aaron Rodgers for 2 years, learn the position, and then have his renaissance. But everything is a little fast paced now, and he's not ready for it.
Let me get this out there, and I think his coaching staff is failing him.
Yes.
When you have a young quarterback thrown into the fire like this, mind you, Zach Wilson is Zach Wilson. We know who he is, but he's a young kid thrown into the fire like this. What's the number one thing you have to do as a team to make sure you take pressure off your young quarterback? It's
run the football.
It is up to these coaches to figure out how the hell to beat the boxes that are being stacked up against the running game to get it going. They have 2 great running backs. Why can't they get the running game going?
Yeah. I think that this is a failure. I'm not putting any of this on Zach Wilson.
This is an institutional failure.
Yes, because check this out, guys. Zach Wilson is just another in a long line of first-round quarterbacks that the New York Jets have failed. When's the last time the New York Jets had an off? And I harp on this all the time. The way of the league is going towards the offensive. They're going to the offensive teams. I remember the old saying, defense wins championships. No, it doesn't. Offense wins championships now, and the rules dictate as such. But think about this. Rex Ryan's one of the greatest defensive coordinators ever. So head coach. He had the Jets have had Mark Sanchez, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, and they've had Chad Pennington come through there, and now Zach Wilson. None of those quarterbacks are successful, and the only one that I can think of who's starting right now is Geno Smith, and it's 10 years later. I just think that it's very interesting I think that it's very telling that as soon as Geno Smith got the hell out of New York and actually got a team of his own with a coach in a city that put their arms around him, he immediately flourishes. He's the comeback player of the year. The New York Jets are a very, very poorly run organization. They essentially were going to use Aaron Rodgers as a Band-Aid, but the Band-Aid got ripped off on that fateful Monday night game. and the season is essentially over for the New York Jets.
Jay
I
Blaze
think-
brought up an interesting point. When you
Okay.
bring a young kid, a quarterback, the New York Jets starting quarterback in that media market needs to be a veteran who can handle that pressure and who can take it off his mind. A young kid's never going to be able to do that. It says something that the only successful Jets quarterback this century was Vinny Testaverde.
Well, it's not. I don't think. I think Zach Wilson now needs to be in a smaller market, but I don't think it was a crime. I think it was the right thing to do to draft him number 2 overall, because once upon a time, Eli Manning back in 2004, he was thrown into the fire in the New York market. 4 years later, he beat Tom Brady in the greatest Super Bowl upset ever. So, but the difference is he had Tom Coughlin, he was a hard-nosed coach, but he was an offensive-minded coach. You guys, if you are going to draft, and we're seeing the same thing in Chicago, Justin Fields' career is being ruined by the inept Chicago coaching staff and front office. He has no support. Everyone says, well, they got him DJ Moore and Chase Claypool. It doesn't matter if he's got Odell Beckham Jr. on one side and Tyreek Hill on the other with Travis Kelce as his tight end. If you can't scheme up offensive schemes that can create matchup problems like Kyle Shanahan out in San Francisco, it doesn't matter who you have. The Jets have failed Zach Wilson, and I think it's a damn shame that we are blaming the player. I'm telling you right now, okay, Zach Wilson has had a couple of questionable press conferences, and I remember that fucking New York media guy. Do you think you felt you let down your defense? Zach Wilson said no in defiance. He got set up, and now everybody hates Zach Wilson because of something the New York media said. Dude, as far as sports media is concerned, and I know I guess they're necessary, but really what it comes down to is these fucking losers they are just jealous that these good-looking, super talented, super rich guys get to do what the fuck they get to do for a living, and they don't. That's what it comes down to. I don't know why the media's relationship with professional athletes has to be adversarial. Adversarial for what? So you can get a soundbite and tell your other fat fuck reporters, yeah, I got the best of Zach Wilson. Guess what? Zach Wilson is at her steady fucking mills and still making still making millions of dollars a year, still on his rookie deal. That I think is the main reason why they're ready to get him up out of there. Any last thoughts on Zach Wilson?
Look,
And this is coming after the Jets ruining Sam Darnold's young career and him having to go to Carolina. Would have been a better shot to give Sam Darnold a prove-it year and get him a actual offensive head coach, probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he knows how to handle the market now.
But Robert Saleh was in no position. Well, I don't even know who the head coach was before Robert Saleh. They only hired defensive head coaches.
Adam Gase.
Oh, Jesus fucking. Well, yeah, Adam Gase. Now, he's an offensive head coach, but we all know he's a fucking lunatic. What was he credited with, being the quarterback whisperer?
Peyton Manning.
Yeah, Peyton Manning. Dude, just like Eric Bieniemy. And oh, by the way, Eric Bieniemy now no longer looks like the greatest offensive coordinator ever because they just got boat raced by the Buffalo Bills. How's that offense looking now, right? It's easy to be the hot coordinator when your head coach is Andy Reid and you've got Patrick Mahomes. It's easy for Adam Gase to be called the quarterback whisperer when your quarterback is Peyton fucking Manning. He was an abject dumpster fire in New York, and he was even worse down in Miami. The Jets are a poorly run organization. And if I'm Caleb Williams, I'm not trying to go to the Cardinals, the Jets, or the Browns. If let's just say the Jets have the number 1 overall pick. If I'm Caleb Williams, I do the John Elway approach. Look, if you guys draft me, I'm staying at school. I am not coming to play for y'all. Your final thoughts, Jay Blaze.
Until the Jets, if I'm a rookie coming out, I'm saying no to all those teams, and these teams have to prove it with veteran quarterbacks on their last legs. If they can get to them to status, then you say, okay, maybe I'll think about going there. But dude, you got to give more of these players like the Eli stuff and praising them for saying no, right your ship, and then I'll come aboard.
Miami J, your last thoughts on Zach
Let me just say something. It's a little bit off topic. First off, the only person who's not Peyton Manning who could possibly take credit for Peyton Manning is Archie Manning. So
yes, that's literally it, right?
Yeah.
Just on the comment you made, Donovan, about media pressure, the sports media, the pressure on the players, the gotcha moments, and all that.
Yeah.
I wish that, and I'm going to take it off topic for a sec. We can talk about it later, whatever. I'll just make the comment. I wish that kind of media scrutiny and media pressure would come to the American soccer landscape.
Yeah.
Because the soccer media in this country is a sham. Sorry.
Is it really?
Oh,
they don't really hold people accountable like they do in the other
later, but yeah. Yeah.
Wow, okay. I did not realize. I think the only time the US media is hard on soccer is during the World Cup.
Not even. I'll give you plenty of examples later. Yeah, bro. It's pathetic.
Give me an example.
Well, okay, an example.
Like
Landon
Greg
Donovan.
Berhalter hired. Oh my God, yeah.
Nobody look. Greg Berhalter has continuously said in these press conferences, and we can talk about his hiring another time. That'll set me off on some other rant.
Okay.
But they've asked him a million times, what is your criteria for bringing in these players? Well, we got to make sure they're doing good in international leagues and they're in good form, that they're, they got the right mentality, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Nobody in the media has asked him, where the hell is John Brooks, who's our best defender playing in the top league in Germany?
Wow.
He hasn't brought him in over 3 years.
Do you think it might have something to do with our general ignorance of football, soccer?
To a point, but it has to do more with the unholy alliance that the MLS and the U.S. Soccer Federation made when they created this organization that was Soccer United Marketing or something like that.
Oh, I did not know that.
Essentially ran all soccer marketing for for U.S. soccer and for the MLS, which essentially controls access to reporters' credentials.
Wow.
And they will literally take a reporter's credentials away if they don't ask the right question.
Whoa.
Okay. They really will.
Okay. All right. Well, that would be good. That would be good. We got a comment here from JJ says, I'd be cool to see Caleb Williams on the Patriots. No, I don't know. I don't want to see Caleb Williams on the Patriots. I want to see Caleb Williams with a warm weather team or a West Coast team.
I wanted to see him with the LA.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, I'm tired of the Patriots. I really am. It's just Bill Belichick. He's old. He's the greatest coach of all time. He's old. He's fucking grumpy. Mac Jones is hitting guys in the nuts. I'm tired. I'm sick and fucking tired of this Patriot way. As soon as Tom Brady left New England, that dynasty died. It's over. Yep. It's over. Look, let Bill Belichick go out when he wants to go out. He's won 6 Super Bowls, but if Caleb Williams goes to the Patriots, he will be irrelevant. That's how boring the fucking Patriots are. I can't
exactly.
Can't stand those guys. Jared Atkinson said, I just want the Titans to be good again. When were they ever? Oh, they did make the AFC title game a couple of years.
Oh, they made a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but that was back.
Forever.
That was in '99. Yeah, that was in '99. Jared Atkinson says Patriots are akin to Alabama. Yeah. It's no surprise that Bill Belichick and Nick Saban are good friends. I don't think that's the surprise to anybody. Okay, let's go to pardon me. Let's go to our next topic. There we go. Our next topic. So we got the rumors, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I don't know. The sports world seems to be talking about this. Personally, I don't give a fuck about this. Dude, look, check this out. If this relationship goes the distance, and it won't, I'll be the first to come on here and say that I'm wrong. But Taylor Swift has been ran through by literally everybody. And now she's working her way up to the professional athlete ranks. So she is a professional athlete virgin. Travis Kelce is probably physically the largest guy she's ever presumed to have sex with. But when this relationship ends, it's going to be ugly. Taylor Swift is going to write a breakup song, and it's going to be the same old. I don't know why people are so excited about this union, because Taylor Swift, I don't know if you guys know this, she's a hoe. She's a hoe. She fucks everybody. And then she's messy about the divorce. Then she's messy about the breakups. And then she goes and writes songs about it. It's absolutely ridiculous. I could not give less of a shit about this. I've never liked Taylor. Look, her music is fine, but I can't stand hoes. I'm sorry. She's a hoe, and I don't give a shit. What are your thoughts, Blaze?
So Travis Kelce is losing me more and more. He just did that Bud Light ad. He's done the Koof commercial. And now he's hidden with Taylor Swift. And, dude, how sad is Taylor Swift? She is literally the top superstar in the world, and she can't find anyone to date. Like she
Yeah.
has limited her options. Like there's no one to date. Like there is no one, and she has to go for Travis Kelce, a tight end,
Yep.
for Kansas City to even get. Like it's sad.
Well, here's the deal. Travis Kelce is now in the argument for greatest tight end ever,
Yeah.
right? So not too shabby for Taylor Swift, but in Miami J, you remember my earlier episodes on TSR Live. I've said this for years. The more money a woman makes, the more doors close. The more money a man makes, the more doors open. Taylor Swift is worth over $500 million. She's a worldwide celebrity. She's a bigger star than Travis Kelce will ever be, presumably. So the only people that she can date, the only men that are going to really move the needle on her radar are going to be celebrities and professional athletes. But again, Taylor Swift has a very long and sordid relationship past. So yeah, it's all fun and games now, but she's a hoe just like all the rest of them. What are your thoughts, Mike?
Would you want?
Dude, I couldn't care less about this if you threw a helmet and a Dolphins jersey on Taylor Swift and threw her out on the field. To me, I think this was a media play, and I think it worked beautifully, and now that everybody's talking about
it. I think he's really fucking her.
Probably, but
yeah. I think
she went there for the media attention. She didn't go there to watch this game.
Yeah. It is what it is. This to me is a big nothing burger. Professional athlete dates a recording artist. Big fucking deal. Like we've seen this movie before. And listen, Travis Kelce's one of my favorite players. My three favorite players in the league are Baker Mayfield, Travis Kelce, and Deebo Samuel. I love Travis Kelce's personality. Dude, we see him here in Philly all the time because he's always doing stuff with his brother out there in downtown Philly. So we know him and love him here in Philly. But Taylor Swift, this is just, to me, it is a non-starter. I don't think it matters. And just like Peter Fivefoot says, this relationship is just getting way too much media attention. It's like, we did not need that hoe in our sport.
I'm just glad Carson Wentz is off the top 3 list.
What's that?
I'm just happy Carson Wentz is off the top 3 list for you.
Yeah, you got that.
You know what's sad? That this is good media press for Taylor Swift instead of the ticket scandals and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They were begging to have something like this where she's getting her getting fucked by Travis Kelce. That's a better story than her ticket scandal. It's sad. It's very sad.
Yeah, it's look over here while I'm doing this. And some people would say, well, the only reason why she's dating Travis Kelce is because of the ticket scam. No, girls don't fuck girls are not going to have sex or be linked to men they don't want to be linked to. Travis Kelce, exactly. He's a top 1%er, high value guy, top 1% in money, fame, status, physique, looks, etc., etc. It's really that's really the only place Taylor can go. And I agree with you, Jay Blaze. I don't think that was the intent, but it's a very nice bonus that now we're ignoring the ticket scandals and all that good stuff. So,
oh yeah.
All right. Our next topic, Justin Fields. So this is Justin Fields has lost, what is it? 13 straight games. He lost his last 10 starts. Last year in Chicago. He's lost his first 3 starts here. If he loses this week to the Denver Broncos, and I'm going to tell you what, the Bears and Broncos is basically the battle of the worst, because whatever team loses that game, it is going to be an absolute train wreck. It's going to be a dumpster fire with dumpster juice all over it. I think heads are going to roll. People are going to be fired, et cetera, et cetera. I think he is in the exact same position as Zach Wilson. The Chicago Bears have let him down. How many quarterbacks have the Chicago Bears drafted that they didn't develop? Mitchell Trubisky, he's one. They had Rex Grossman. He was terrible. Jay Cutler was there for years. Now, Jay Cutler was supremely talented. The point is that, guys, I'm trying to tell you, we really, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say that Zach Wilson and Justin Fields aren't, at least in part, somehow responsible responsible for their lack of success. But I think a lion's share of the blame goes on the organization. It really does matter where you go as an organization. Hexagon Lost in Asia says Fields can't read defenses. That's not Justin's fault. You want to know why Justin Fields can't read defenses? Because his coaching staff can't teach him how to read defenses. Justin Fields is not stupid. He threw 50 touchdown passes at Ohio State. He was the best quarterback in the nation by a mile. and all of a sudden he gets to Chicago and he forgets how to pass and read defenses. No, this again, just like Miami J said, this is an organizational failure. Jay Blaze, what are your thoughts on Justin Fields? Should he move on? Is it over for him in Chicago?
So you know those fantasy teams or fantasy leagues where the loser has to do this the stupidest bet.
Yes.
Like,
oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
You got to do that with these NFL teams. Like these, some of these teams, like the ownership, they don't push their team to like actually succeed. They only do it because you'll have these like Chargers, you'll have the Cardinals. They won't push themselves to hire the best candidate or push their team forward, and then because they know they're going to still get the money from the pot, and you got to stop that. Like you need to have like the top 5 teams. You don't get any money this year.
I agree,
and that will put the fire under their ass.
Holy
you know
shit.
what?
I don't know how viable. Look, I don't know how viable that is, but I do believe that there has to be some sort of a motivational factor. Go ahead.
I think the loser of this game needs to get relegated to the XFL.
Yeah,
and we need to bring up whoever the best team in the XFL is. I mean,
I like it. That's not a bad idea, man. I like it. I do.
The entire tanking issue that we have with teams tanking
yes. Oh my God! Wow, the loser.
Or
actually, you know what? You could make it even more interesting. So the worst team goes to the XFL. The second worst team goes to the USFL. Right? That way,
what would happen is, let's do it this way.
Okay.
You take the worst 2 teams down to the XFL, the best 2 teams in the XFL up, the worst 2 teams in the XFL go to the USFL. That way, it's an entire open system.
Wow, that would be
exactly.
Now. Look, listen, we know that that's never going to happen because the collective bargaining agreement is never going to go for that. But that might be a solution like down the line.
I'll tell you one thing, that would fix American soccer like that. That's how they do it in Europe, and it works.
Wait. Say what? They do that in Europe? Whoa.
Have you not watched the Welcome to Wrexham documentary with
No,
Ryan?
I have not seen that. Dude, it looks so cool, dude.
I'll try to explain it really quick. It's a pyramid.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Take your time.
It's a pyramid. Actually, let me explain it this way. I'll give you this example, which is much easier to understand. Imagine if in Major League Baseball, the bottom 3 teams went down to AAA, and then the top 3 came up, and all the way down to single A, and then all the way down to like bar leagues and things like that can be open to anyone. That's how English football and most of European football works. You can literally take a small team like Wrexham, who was they were not in a professional league anymore. And they had like 3 more leagues below them and like 6 leagues above them. They just got promoted to a professional league. And if Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney want to put up the money, they can take them all the way to the top.
Wow, I did not know that. And see, look, the puck drops here says we gotta be like the soccer leagues where you relegate a team. They do that in the Premier League and La Liga and Bundesliga.
Every soccer team that's not in the United States does that.
Sports Fisher says dumb idea to mimic European. I don't know. Look, on its face, I think it's something to certainly talk about. I don't think it'll ever happen because I don't think the NFL and the NFLPA will go for it. But at some point, there has to be some incentive because listen, man, we got great NFL teams and then we have really crappy NFL teams. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but quarterback play this season has been fucking terrible. Even outside of Tua and Brock Purdy, nobody's really playing up to par. Not even Jalen Hurts, who was the MVP runner-up last year. He's not playing that well. So, and now I think the Jalen Hurts situation is a little bit different. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a flu going around the Philadelphia Eagles organization. In their opener, 3/4 of the players had flu-like symptoms. Guys are getting IVs. I think in the game after that, it was like closer to 50%. Jalen Hurts was still sick yesterday, even though he went out and did his thing. So I'm hoping that maybe the Super Bowl hangover, the sickness, maybe getting to know our new offensive defensive coordinator, et cetera, hopefully that's, that will get us back on track. But I think that's a good idea. I think that they need to add something in the collective bargaining agreement that punishes the worst team in the league. Because it's almost like the Donald Sterling effect with the Los Angeles Clippers. Donald Sterling and by the way, Donald Sterling should never have lost his team. He shouldn't have lost his team. His First Amendment rights were violated. If you're a racist, okay, you're an asshole. But that doesn't mean that you should have your NBA team taken away. By the same token, he did get like $2.5 billion for it, so he's not worried about money. But Donald Sterling figured out something very early when he bought the Clippers. He figured out, I can make millions of dollars and we can still suck. I'm in Los Angeles. I think, man, for a long time, that's what the Cleveland Browns did. That's why they ended up moving to Baltimore the first time. And maybe the Chicago Bears are in that same boat too. What do you guys think?
Yeah. You got to make like a penalty, like a tax penalty on the league for those bottom 5 teams and make sure, or they just lose a draft pick or something, because these teams are tanking to get better draft picks, and then they're crippling these guys for future contracts. Like, think about all the quarterbacks that the Browns ruined and the Jets.
God, Jesus fucking Christ.
Like, Sam Darnold, like, if you had a good head coach since the beginning, where he's not doing the seeing ghost stuff, he would be a top paid quarterback right now.
Absolutely.
Look, I get why we do the worst team gets the number 1 pick. I understand why we do that, so there can be more parity within the league and more competitive. But it's getting out of hand. Like, how much really does a number 1 pick help you these days, especially if it's a quarterback going to the Browns, the Jets, or the Bears? I mean, there has to be something else. Something, maybe make the bottom 10 teams play a little playoff for the number 1 pick.
Or you do the NBA route and do a draft lottery.
That too.
I think that could be, dude. You get
less tanking
commercials, and it would get rid of tanking. Hexagon Lost in Asia says Justin Fields was an average player in a good situation, maybe a perfect situation at OSU. 3rd year in the league, he's a failure. I respectfully disagree. Hexagon Lost in Asia. I think we really need to start looking at organizations when it comes to these quarterbacks. Justin Fields was fucking awesome at OSU. There's a reason why he was picked in the 1st round, because he is a good player. The Chicago Bears have absolutely failed Justin Fields. When's the last time? How many Hall of Fame quarterbacks have played for the Chicago Bears? When's the last time the Chicago Bears had a Pro Bowl quarterback? When's the last time the Jets had a Pro Bowl quarterback? The only Jets quarterback that I know that's in the Hall of Fame is Joe Namath, and he's 80 fucking years old. You know what I mean? So before we start, I think the reason why Justin Fields is a failure now is because he's in Chicago. You get him the hell out of Chicago, you get him with an offensive-minded head coach, and I guarantee you it changes. Mitchell Trubisky was terrible in Chicago for the same reason. Now he's in Pittsburgh. Love Mike Tomlin, but he's a defensive head coach. That's why Kenny Pickett looks serviceable, but he doesn't look good, right? Because he doesn't have an offensive quarterback. He doesn't have an offensive head coach. Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy was the last pick in the draft 2 years ago, and he might win MVP this year. He's undefeated as a starter in games that he has started in the regular season. That is and it's funny. People talk out of both sides of their mouth. They'll say, well, Justin Fields isn't that good, but then they'll say that Brock Purdy isn't that good either. Well, wait a minute. Well, which is it? Either Brock Purdy is overperforming because he has an offensive head coach, or Justin Fields is failing because his coaching isn't helping him. Guys, coaching matters. Yes, having good talents and having great players matters, but coaching matters. Look at all, and I agree with you, Jay Blaze. Look at all of the quarterbacks that the Cleveland Browns ruined, all the quarterbacks the New York Jets ruined, all the quarterbacks the Chicago Bears ruined. Why? Because they want to be the monsters of the Midway. Yo, I'm trying to tell you, Mike Singletary ain't walking through that fucking door, man. You need to get an offensive head coach in there. You need to score points. To hell with the defense. If you're going to lose, at least lose in shootouts. But to say that Justin Fields is a failure, to me, that's a fucking joke. You need to do your research on that. Any other thoughts, guys?
It's too early to call the kid a failure. I mean, for all we know, he's going to go to another team. He's not going to be Tom Brady ever, but
no, of course.
I mean, he might have a serviceable long-term career in the NFL, like Geno Smith or somebody like that. To call him a failure?
Yeah.
I mean, he made it to the NFL. I don't know what Hexagon Lost in Asia has done. Apparently, he's lost in Asia, but he seems more successful than him.
I mean, look, well, I guess what he means, well, relative. Like, listen, Ryan Leaf is one of the biggest busts in NFL history. He's one of the greatest, right? He's one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever walk the face of the earth. You know what I mean? When we consider all the people, so I understand when he says Justin Fields is a failure with regards to everybody else in the NFL. He's in the middle of week 3. his coaching staff sucks. You cannot call a player a failure if their coaching staff sucks. And I agree again with Jay Blaze. If Sam Darnold had an offensive head coach in New York, he'd still be in New York, and Zach Wilson would probably be somewhere else. I'll give you guys the last word.
I would like to see Justin Fields in the next few years maybe get like a traded, or just say, dude, just cut bait with me, and him backing up either Lamar or the Colts, and see what he can do. Because
or maybe back up Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia.
Exactly.
I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, we've got Marcus Mariota, who's basically a poor man's Justin Fields. He needs to be with a coach that he needs to be with a Shane Steichen. He needs to be with a Brian Johnson, needs to be with a Kyle Shanahan. Unfortunately, those guys don't grow on trees. So,
but I will say, what if you take a 5-year year plan, and in those 5 years you take the team that lost the most, and all 5 of those teams get put up for sale.
Oh my God!
That's boom.
Nah, I don't think that'll. Yeah. I mean, that sounds dystopian, because let's just say the Kansas City Chiefs. Because remember, the Kansas City Chiefs were one of the worst teams until they got Patrick Mahomes. Now they've been consistently good. I understand where you're going. I just don't know that that's plausible. It is a nice thought. Your last thoughts, Miami.
Well, I love the previous comment that we had up there about Leicester City. That was really well said.
Oh, this right here?
No, the one you put up right before that one.
Oh, I forgot already.
It was talking about that one. It was talking about the whole promotion relegation system, and that's how Leicester City.
Oh yeah. Leicester City, yes, and wasn't that the reason why? Leicester City was such a big story?
It was a huge story. Imagine if a team from AAA came up to the major leagues, and without signing any major new players or making any coaching hires, in 2 years they won the World Series. That's what it was like. It was a huge story. To me, that was the biggest story in sports for that decade.
Dude, I mean, I would agree, because that's all we heard about for the better part of 6 months was Leicester City. Okay, let us go to our next topic. Jay Blaze, please avert your eyes here. So the Dallas Cowboys, look, I'm not gonna make a mountain out of a molehill here. I'm not making excuses here, but they were on the West Coast. They were on the West Coast. They're missing 3 offensive linemen. Trayvon Diggs just got hurt. It was an early start. You know, they just came off of a semi-emotional win. You know, I think, you know, let me just ask you this, Miami J, do you think that their loss to Arizona was a bad day or a bad sign?
I think it was a bad day followed by a bad sign. To me, the bad sign was not the game. Yeah, you know, any given Sunday, any team can win, any team can lose.
Sure,
it can happen. You know, the undefeated Patriots could have lost to this Cardinals teams on a certain day.
Yeah, right.
To me, the bad sign is their head coach, Mike McCarthy, on the press conference making excuses for their loss. To me, they don't have the mindset of a championship team. This team cannot make it through NFL playoffs. Not with that mindset. A head coach should not get up there and start talking about the things you just mentioned.
No, I agree.
Talking about the West Coast travel, talking about players injured. No, a coach gets up there like, I hate to say Bill Belichick, but like Bill Belichick says, no, we sucked. It's a next man up mentality.
Real talk.
Yeah, we got to step it up. We got to do better.
Hey,
that's what a head coach does.
Dude, the head coach does what Bill Belichick does. We're on to Cincinnati. You got your doors blown off by the Chiefs. We're on to Cincinnati. How does it feel to be knocked off? We're on to Cincinnati.
Yep. If the head coach doesn't have the right mentality, then the team's never going to make it there.
Nope, I agree.
And I'm sorry to say, I know you're a fan, Jay Blaze, but to me, that press conferences ruined the Cowboys season.
Wow, strong words.
I don't think they're going anywhere.
Wow. Okay, what do you think? Do you think that press
conference
ruined the season?
So more and more, I see of Mike McCarthy, the more he is just not right for that position. Like, you had third quarter where he went for it instead of getting 3. And then you're chasing points the rest of the time. And then you look around to those wideouts. We have probably the top 3 wideout room in
that's
probably top 3 of any NFL.
Yep.
Like, I'm not saying we have the best wideouts, but top 3.
Okay.
Dude, they get no separation. Like you look at Mike McDaniel's system, dude. They get separation all the time because he's
Everybody's
scheming
open.
up. Yeah, he's scheming up like weird stuff to do. Dude, Mike is so traditional, and it's so predictable to see, and it's wild.
It's
Like,
crazy, dude.
and then Dak Prescott, like, he's so average, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, and they don't make any splash plays. Like, oh, it's bad.
I think I've sort of figured out, and I'm not a football expert by any stretch of the imagination, but one thing that I think I've noticed is that Dak, he doesn't know how to throw receivers open.
Yeah.
I don't, and maybe he does every once in a while, but not enough to where I can say that that's what he does. Every time Dak throws the ball to somebody, they're either open, like it's right at him and they have their face turned to him, or they're running on a streak. He likes to throw the ball over defenders, which is fine if you're going deep, but at some point you need to throw receivers open because it's not always going to be like that. I think Dak Prescott doesn't realize that when the receiver is open, you're too late. You are too late when that receiver is open. You are too late. And it was funny because I'm watching the Arizona game and I'm like, dude, this is where Dak Prescott normally throws interceptions. And sure enough, he threw an interception. Go ahead, Blaze, you got it.
And Tua is an expert at timing. McDaniels knows exactly where that guy is going to be open, and he tells Tua, and he gets it to him right there. Like, also a really good guy was for the Chargers, Phillip Rivers. He was a really good timing quarterback. Dak does not do any of that stuff.
No.
I think I remember a couple years ago, Cole Beasley was like waving to him. He's like, "Dude, I'm free. Like they're not covering me." And Dak didn't even see it. Like, Dak, I just don't see it. Like he's just the backup. Like I just see him as a backup.
I don't think Dak is terrible, but I don't think he is capable of winning a Super Bowl. You gotta and here's the thing: Dak can make all the throws. He can make the out route, the dig route, the throw. He can make all the throws, but he cannot throw receivers open. And if you can't throw receivers open, dude, defenders can just play. They can play a press man 2 deep zone, a press man 2 deep zone, pull the safety over the top, and just wait for him to throw the ball right to him, which is exactly what defenses do day in and day out. It's incredible. I'm not saying Dak is a bad guy, but he is not a $40 million quarterback. I'll give you guys the last word. Miami J?
No, he is not.
He's not even close to a $40 million quarterback. He's a serviceable starting quarterback.
Yeah, of course.
But he's not going to win you a championship. The only way to overcome a coaching staff that doesn't have the winning mentality for me is to have a quarterback, or dare I say a defense. I'm thinking of the Ravens defense with Ray Lewis, that will put the entire team on their back and will them through the freaking goal line and will them there. Dallas doesn't have that.
All right, very
good. Dak is a $40 million quarterback because Zeke Elliott carried that team for 3 years and got him a really good winning percentage and got him into the playoffs. Dak is at his best when he's throwing 20 times for 200 yards and maybe a tutty here and there. That's him in a nutshell. He needs a running game and a defense.
No, I agree. And
I'm gonna step to the fridge real quick.
Oh yeah, you got it. And I think the difference is, Jay Blaze, is for example, how can I put this? Joe Burrow, for example, they just gave him 5 years, $275 million, right? He probably shouldn't have played last night. His entire team didn't play well, but Joe Burrow still found a way to. He didn't throw a touchdown pass last night. He had a terrible game, but guess what? He fucking gutted it out, and he did what the fuck needed to be done to get the W. Dak he's just not a dog like that. And it's almost like I find myself rooting for him because he gets dogged all the time, but he is what the fuck he is, man. I'm not saying he's a bad person or a terrible quarterback, but I just can't see him winning. I can't see him winning a Super Bowl because he can't do the basics. And by the way, Kellen Moore, that offense in LA is humming along. And oh, by the way, the Dallas Cowboys offense is not as prolific through the first 3 games as it was last year. But Kellen Moore was the problem, and now Mike McCarthy is calling the plays. I'm just putting that out there.
Let's not forget where Kellen Moore learned his offensive skills. That guy played for Boise State when they were at the height of their powers.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Okay. That kid can probably think of some crazy stuff.
He probably can. He's go ahead.
Oh, you saw last year when Dak went out, dude. Kellen Moore had a big smile on his face. He's like, dude, the pressure is off. I don't have to deal with Dak's like $40 million quarterback aspect. Cooper Rush would just say, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir."
To the tune of 4-1. The Cowboys were 4-1 without Dak Prescott. The Eagles, we lost Jalen Hurts for 2 games. We went 0-2. We lost to the fucking Saints. That's why we know Jalen is the best player on that team. I don't know, man. It's like I've never seen this is Dak's 8th or 9th year. I've never seen an inconsistent quarterback turn it around in year 10. I just haven't seen that. I like Dak. I'm pulling for him, man. I watched him when he was at Mississippi State, but he's clearly not the guy in Dallas. I thought that it could work because remember the last time we talked about the Trent Dilfer-led 2000 Ravens, the Brad Johnson-led 02 Buccaneers, the Russell Wilson-led 13, the Legion of Boom. I thought he had a chance to maybe, as long as he doesn't screw it up and just let the defense do what it has to do, he'll be fine. But the defense gave up 28 to the Cardinals, who has a quarterback with no fucking eyebrows. Like, dude, at this point, I don't think Dallas is in panic mode. I think that this was a bad day rather than a bad sign. But if this continues, if Dak continues, because it doesn't get any easier for them, I think they could be in danger. I think they could be in danger of maybe being a 6th or 7th seed.
You know what hurts Dak a lot? The difference between the backup and the starter is the smallest between with the Cowboys.
100%.
Like Cooper Rush is pretty good, and this is how you make splash plays, and it doesn't even have to be getting a quarterback, cutting bait with a quarterback, and saying Cooper, train up the next guy, and you draft another guy.
Very good. Apollo says, do you think T. Higgins has something going on in his head? First game, no catches on 8 targets. Last night, 2 catches on 8 targets. Is he thinking about his contract situation? I think that's probably a part of it, but you're also dealing with a hobbled Joe Burrow. The Bengals the last few years have not traditionally gotten off to a great start. I remember their Super Bowl year, they started off 0-2 because Joe Burrow had appendix surgery. He had appendicitis. So he had to have his appendix out. The first 2 years the first 2 weeks he stunk it up. I think they won 10 out of their last 12. They end up going to Kansas City, beating them twice and going to the Super Bowl. What are your thoughts, Miami J? Do you think something's going on in T. Higgins' head or do you think it's minor?
I don't know what's going on in his head. Maybe it's the contract situation, but I'm inclined to think that if it was that, he'd be playing out of his skin.
Yeah, because
on a contract year, that's your best
year. Their best years. Yeah, they do.
I'm not sure it's the contract. Maybe he's got something going on at home. I don't know. Maybe it's just not happening. I don't know.
Jesus Christ. Cigar Man on the Rumble site says Josh Dobbs looks like the movie Powder, maybe Black Powder. Ken Rose with the $5 Rumble rant. Appreciate that very, very much. Okay, let's quickly go through last week's games or this past week's games. We'll quickly talk about these and then we will get into the power ranking. So on Thursday night, the San Francisco 49ers absolutely dump trucked the New York Giants. I can't remember if we talked about this game or not. Give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts on the Niners. Give me your thoughts on the Niners and the Giants, Blaze. What you got?
It was not surprising. Dude, you knew it took a while for them to get going, but once they did, it was over.
Okay, Miami Jam.
Yeah, par for the course. It was a predictable score. You always knew the Niners were going to win this game, especially at home.
Yeah. I think the Giants. I think we thought too much of the Giants. I think last year because they went to the playoffs, but dude, you gave up 40 to the Cowboys. And listen, man, they've played some tough teams, but I think I think the Giants are in for a very, very long season. They made a huge mistake giving Daniel Jones $160 million.
They're in for a bad 4 years.
Oh my God, that was fucking ludicrous. Dude, honestly, I'd have paid him 20 at the very most. I'd have paid him 20.
This is why some of these teams need to say QBs, go find a contract. Like, I wish the Cowboys did that with Dak. How many people would have signed Dak to
Nobody.
for $40 million?
No
one.
The
That's
only
why you say to these quarterbacks, "Hey, test the market."
Test the market. Yep, that's exactly right. That's what they did. Dude, that's what they do that with other players too. They let Jonathan Taylor. All right, go ahead, test the market. They said Saquon, go out and test the market. That's
it would stop. It would stop these quarterbacks from getting $50 million and getting like these undeserving quarterbacks. I'm not saying Joe Burrow is, but dude, it is ridiculous. They're getting 55, and then some of the other players that are the reason for their success are going to get shafted.
Well, we can have a whole show on how quarterbacks' contracts are overinflated right now.
Well, I think relative to their importance, I think quarterbacks are making exactly what they're supposed to make, man.
I don't know. Because look,
go ahead. Well, look, to me, Joe Burrow's worth $55 million. Justin Herbert is worth $52.5 million. You want to know why? Because Justin. Oh, I thought I had an echo. Justin Herbert is the reason why Brandon Staley is still in LA. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
Brandon Staley's not a good head coach. He's not a good decision maker, and we'll talk about that another time. Patrick Mahomes, definitely worth $50 million.
Right, but Mahomes is the one that set the bar at $50 million. That contract is the template for all other contracts that come after it. Okay. Mahomes is an anomaly. Patrick Mahomes, none of these other guys are Patrick Mahomes.
No, they're not. They're not.
So if Mahomes is getting paid what he's worth and all the other guys are getting paid about the same, the market shouldn't be valuing the same because they're not the same. But
they're not the same. But that's what
agents are good. Agents are good at their job.
Yeah, they're very good. They're very good. And I mean, you know, you have certain comps. You remember Nick Bosa? He held out because he wanted the Aaron Donald contract. He ended up getting even more money. You know what I mean? So I mean, you're worth whatever somebody is willing to pay you. If I'm Daniel Jones and they come at me with 160 over 4 years, I'm not going to tell them, well, guys, I only had 15 touchdown passes last year. I'm taking that.
Wrong. I won't begrudge anyone for taking.
No, of course not. Of course not. Absolutely not.
I'm all for the top quarterbacks getting their bag, but some of these average quarterbacks that other teams aren't going to throw a ton of money at.
Yep.
You tell them, hey, test the market. If you find somebody willing, hey,
ABC,
feel free.
Yep, I agree. I think that's probably the best. I think that's probably the best strategy, especially when it comes to quarterbacks. But again, and that's the thing, the Giants are normally a very well-run organization, and so it was very confusing to me as to why they gave Daniel Jones $160 million. I was like, well, wait a minute. What about giving him a prove-it contract? Why don't you give him 1 year, $25 million guaranteed? If you do that, we'll give you $30 million guaranteed next year. But nope, they gave him $40 million. They gave him $160. I think 122 of it is guaranteed. I'm not really sure about that number. To me, it was a bad signing. I don't think anybody doubts
the
that.
best quarterback contract we've seen in the last 5 years is the first contract the Vikings gave Kirk Cousins.
Yes.
It was a low contract, but it was like $80 million. $84
million guaranteed.
Fully guaranteed. We'll guarantee the whole thing, but you got to prove it.
Yeah, dude, I like the Kirk Cousins contract. I think Daniel Jones, if I were the Giants front office, I'd have gave him, at the most, 60 over 3 years. If you want all of it guaranteed, fine. At least we don't have that. What's Daniel Jones's cap hit? And next year's cap hit is like $59 million. It's unbelievable. You got a $59 million cap hit for a quarterback like Daniel Jones, who went to Duke. And they picked Daniel Jones over Deshaun Watson and Patrick fucking Mahomes. It's the Giants. Again, very well-run organization. This is an uncharacteristically bad decision that they made with their quarterback. As Apollo talks about, he says TJ Watt held out and got the bag. That's because he's worth it. So this was also this was kind of a boring game. We kind of knew that the Lions were probably going to win this game. I think the Falcons got hot, had a couple of cream puffs in the beginning. What are your thoughts on the Lions beating the Falcons, Blaze?
So the Falcons, they're a few years away. I think they don't have the right quarterback, and until you get that correct, you're not going anywhere. Lions should be 3-0 right now, and they should be one of the top teams in it, NFC. And I think they're legit.
Yeah, they got shafted. They got shafted at home with that non-call. Aiden Hutchinson clearly being held. They didn't call it. Geno Smith throws the game-winning touchdown. It happens. Your thoughts, Miami James?
Yeah, I continue to be impressed by Detroit. I think they might be for real. I think I called them the new Miami Dolphins week 1, but prove it, and they're proving it. So
I'll tell you what, man. A lot of people forget that Jared Goff was the number 1 overall pick, and he's been to a Super Bowl.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of people forget that with their revisionist history.
One of the low-key moves is keeping their offensive coordinator. That was huge. Because I don't think Jared Goff would be this good if they had to get a new one.
Nope. I totally agree. And this is why Baker Mayfield has struggled, because he's had like 27 different coaches and 18 different offensive coordinators.
Yep.
I think that matters. Coaching matters, guys. Let's take a look at this game. Now this was the game. Now, Jay Blaze, I think I got the score wrong. It actually should be 28-24. But the Los Angeles Chargers, I think they got to get rid of Brandon Staley, man. They got to get rid of Brandon Staley. I thought that after he went for when he went for it on 4th down on their own 24-yard line and gave Kirk Cousins a chance to actually beat them. And like I said, I texted you when it happened. I said, dude, Brandon Staley may very well have coached himself out of a job. And if Kirk Cousins throws the game-winning touchdown pass, I think the Chargers probably fired him on the tarmac as soon as he touched down in Los Angeles. I think it's time to get Brandon Staley out of there. He's too much of he takes too many chances. He goes for it too many times on 4th down. It's come back to bite him in the ass. He gave up the 27-point lead on the road or in the playoffs. I don't think he's a bad guy or a bad coach, but he's not a very good NFL head coach. I just don't think he's a very good decision maker. What are your thoughts, Miami Jane?
Well, there's no balance with this team, right? Do you guys know how many yards the Chargers put up on the ground?
I don't.
30 rushing yards for the game. Look at the stats right now.
Wow. No, I believe you.
There's no balance on this team. Yeah, I mean, it won't take long, but yeah, he's gonna.
Who is calling me?
Yeah, no, that was on me. My bad.
Oh, okay. I was like, whoa. Everybody knows I'm fucking streaming. Or I was about to be mad.
That was
you're right. You're right. Jay Blaze, your thoughts?
So Staley's problem is he's letting nerds dictate when he's going for it, because their analytics are good for baseball, but they're not good for NFL, because you had Colin Cowherd say it's either analytics or manalytics.
That's
and
right.
The Chargers are going completely analytic, and like you have these nerds saying if you go to for 4th down these many times, you'll get it this many times, but they're not in the trenches and going, if they lose this call, you're losing your momentum. The other team is gaining some momentum, and they don't understand that. They only see numbers, and that's what Staley's problem is. He's letting nerds decide what he does in a football game.
I'll even go you one further. The reason why analytics and sabermetrics work in baseball is because they have a vastly larger inventory. Okay.
Exactly.
So you decide to bring in the left-handed pitcher against the left-handed batter on July the 2nd. Okay, it doesn't work out. You've still got 87 games to work that out. Over the course of a 162-game season, yes, sabermetrics and analytics are definitely effective. This is why the Oakland A's were always in the playoffs somehow in the early 2000s. They had a payroll of like $6, but every year, seemingly, they were winning 20 and 25 games in a row. It was quite remarkable. But when you're in the NFL, you only have 17 chances to win games. So Brandon Staley using analytics, he needs to, I agree, he needs to start using manalytics, because analytics only works when there's a large inventory of games. What are your thoughts, Miami J? Do you think Brandon Staley outthinks the room, or I don't know? What do you think?
Yeah, I think outthinking the room's always dangerous. I couldn't help myself, but while you guys were talking about analytics, I started thinking back about soccer. The reason we have Greg Berhalter today as the head coach is because he is a data junkie.
Oh, I did not know that.
And if there is a least statistical sport on the planet than soccer, I'd like to know what it is, because they have this ridiculous stat now called XP. It's like expected goals. XG, sorry. I don't even know how the hell they calculate this thing, but I recall a game against Canada that we had in the World Cup qualifiers. Canada shut down the box. Sorry, I'll go through this real quick.
No. Take your time. Take your time. This is interesting stuff.
All right, so Canada essentially put everybody back against the goal. So we had the ball most of the game. Canada broke out twice, scored twice on us. We couldn't score. We got like 2 shots on goal. Greg Berhalter got up on that podium and read, well, statistically, it was a fantastic game. We dominated them. Our XG was 5 point, blah, blah, blah. We lost the damn game and we looked like crap. I'm sorry. Stats, to me, are useful tools, but they can't be the end-all, be-all behind any sports. Baseball might be the anomaly, but football, basketball, soccer, stats have a role to play, but they can't be what you base everything on.
That makes perfect sense because I don't know how they calculate expected goals.
It's a ridiculous stat.
Yeah, that's crazy. Apollo says
you watch baseball. Oh, sorry. You watch baseball. They throw some of that stats BS out when it's the playoffs. And they say, "Hey, you're my starting pitcher. Hey,
yes.
Get that guy out."
That's it.
That's what they do. And you got to do that. Brandon Staley needs to do that. Justin Herbert, you're my guy. But
win us the fucking game.
I gotta. Yeah.
No, I agree. I totally agree. Apollo agrees. He says it's called situational football for a reason. There's a thing called feel for the game. Analytics doesn't account for that. That is the best example. Jaeger Juarez says a good example is Bruno Fernandez is one of these stat junkies. Are you familiar with him?
Mildly. Okay. I don't know how much he uses stats in this game, but yeah.
Okay. All right.
I've heard the
game Jaeger Juarez also wants to know, is Aiden Hutchinson a top 5 defensive player in the league? I don't think so, but he's close. I think the best
I think he's a year away.
He probably is. The best defensive player of the league is Micah Parsons. I think number 2 is Nick Bosa. Number 3 is Sauce Gar. I mean, dude, number 4, TJ Watt.
Yeah.
You know, number 5 is probably Aaron. Aaron Donald's probably a little bit further up. Agent Hutchinson and dude, Myles Garrett is having a hell of a year. Like edge rushers are really sort of taking over the league. Very, very good.
I think he's a year or 2 away.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. This is a question from Cigarman85 from the Rumble site. Says, who will lose their first game of the season first, the 49ers, Dolphins, or Eagles? Well, the answer is definitely not the 49ers because the Dolphins and Eagles play here in a few weeks. So that will be interesting.
As you said that, I brought up the 49ers schedule just to see what.
Yeah, who does San Fran have over the next few weeks?
Let's see, they got Arizona, Dallas on the 8th, Cleveland, Minnesota, Cincinnati on the 29th, maybe. Then they have a bye, then Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, Seattle, then Philadelphia on December 3rd.
Yeah, it's either going to be – so I think it's going to be the Eagles to lose the first game. I think they're going to lose the first game before they do. I hope we beat the Dolphins. I do not see us beating the Dolphins. I would very much like for us to, but I mean, dude, oh my God.
I think your secondary is your weakness.
Yep. And
that's the Dolphins, that's a problem.
Well, right. Our secondary is our weakness, but we've got two top flight cornerbacks in James Bradbury and Darius Slay. Now we did lose CJ Gardner-Johnson, who was our strong safety. That was a huge, huge loss, but nobody can deny that the Philadelphia Eagles 1000% have the best combination of offensive and defensive line. We got we got everybody. We got Fletcher Cox. We got Jalen Carter, Nakobe Dean, Brandon Graham, Hassan Reddick. I mean, dude, it's just guys coming at you all the time. We don't even miss Javon Hargrave. That's how good the Eagles defensive line is. But I think the Eagles will probably lose to the Dolphins, and I think the answer to that question is probably the Eagles. Dolphins this week versus the Bills. That'll be an interesting.
Never discount the Dolphins losing in Buffalo. So it might be the Dolphins. You never know.
Well, it is still it's in Buffalo, but it's September.
Yeah, we don't have snow on the ground yet. But
there you go.
It's Miami. Like I said, I'm very cautiously optimistic about this whole season.
No, I would too. It's good that you guys are getting it. Like timing does matter, and the fact that you don't have to play the Bills in Buffalo in December or January, dude, get them in September, then get them to come down to Miami, where teams do very, very badly at the end of the season. Cazal with the $5 super chat. I wish you would have said something, man, but I appreciate the I appreciate the support. Okay, let us go to the next. Let's go to the next game. Oops, trying to do my keyboard shortcuts here. There we go. All right, so let's go to the next game. Yes, the Packers came back from 17 points down to beat the Saints. This, to me, this game was lost because of the injury to Derek Carr. They had that game under complete control. And as soon as Jameis Winston came in, that's when the tide turned. What are your thoughts on this, Blaze?
Yeah, the Saints had this game on lock, and then Derek Carr went out. And I don't understand. Like, Jameis Winston is supposed to be a top 5 backup. He's supposed to be. Like, he's supposed to. Yeah, and usually if a team doesn't have, like, they haven't been practicing for you, you have an edge against that defense.
Yes.
But dude, I don't understand. Like, yeah, Jameis Winston. I'm disappointed. Yeah, Saints should have won this game.
Yeah, him and Marcus Mariota, man. Like, it's just shocking. Like, number 1 and 2 overall picks, they both used to be good, but Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota, they're both on different teams. Marcus Mariota might not even be in the league. Jared Goff and Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is not in the league anymore, and Jared Goff was relocated to Detroit. Thankfully, he's sort of gotten reborn there because, the book wasn't out on him. But yeah, drafting quarterbacks is hard, and I think that's what the Jameis Winston story tells us. Miami J, what are your thoughts on the 17-point comeback by the Saints in Green Bay?
Well, they gave it up in the last quarter. All the Green Bay scored all of its points in the fourth quarter.
There you
go. And, a very telling stat, not to go back to statistics.
No, please.
The Saints only rushed for 77 yards. When's the last time you saw a Saints team that ran for under 100 yards? They need Alvin Kamara back and quick.
And I think the running game would probably help a quarterback like Jameis Winston.
Exactly.
Pro Special says, through the first 3 weeks, Jalen Carter is the highest graded interior defensive lineman in the NFL and the 3rd highest graded defender overall. That is from Pro Football Focus. I think Jalen Carter was my pick for the Defensive Rookie of the Year. He is the leader in the clubhouse. He was by far and away the very best player in this year's draft, and we got him at number 9. So shout out to Howie Roseman, who I believe is the best GM in football. All right, let's go to the next game. Oh, this was a surprise. So the Houston Texans go on the road and shock the Jaguars 37-17. Not only that, they had a fullback muff a kickoff and then run it back for a touchdown. I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked about the Dallas Cowboys. Miami J, was this a bad day for the Jaguars or is it a bad sign?
I think it was a bad day for the Jaguars. Having said that, I think the Jaguars' prospects are overinflated. I don't think they're as good as people give them credit for.
Okay. All right. Your thoughts, Blaze?
Yeah, I'm very disappointed. Like, this is the second year with their head coach. And dude, you're supposed to move it forward, but they're taking steps back, and it's concerning.
It's almost like they're reading their own press clippings, right? Like, just because you made the playoffs last year and had one of the greatest comebacks in playoff history, that doesn't carry over. That doesn't carry over into the next year. Daryl Clark says our D-line is brutal as fuck. Oh, he's talking about Fly Eagles Fly. Pro Special says the Jags let a fullback score a return touchdown. It's absurd. The Level Up Man says Dennis Allen is in over his head again, which is why the Saints may end up missing the playoffs. I actually thought Dennis Allen was doing a pretty good job. I think if Derek Carr doesn't get hurt, I think they win that game, but he did, and they didn't. So that is what it is. Let's go to the next game. Oh, and by the way, CJ Stroud, little by little, CJ Stroud is improving. Keep an eye on CJ Stroud, man, another Ohio State guy. The Baltimore Ravens got beat at home by Indianapolis. They got beat on another bullshit call. Yes, you're supposed to overcome bad calls on referees, but Justin Tucker missed the game-winning field goal, which is why they went to overtime in the first place. I think I've seen Justin Tucker miss 2 field goals my entire life. What are your thoughts on this game, Miami J?
That was the biggest shock to me, was Justin Tucker missed the field goal. Yeah, that was the story. Crazy. But hey, don't look now, but the Colts are 2-1.
Yeah. I'm telling you.
And
what are your thoughts?
Richardson could actually pull something off.
Hey, look, man.
In that crappy division, You
Dude,
never know.
anything could happen. And the Jaguars are stumbling, right? So that division's up for grabs now. What are your thoughts,
Yeah,
Gabe?
they could be like a dark horse division winner and, steal a victory
Host
in
a playoff
the
game.
division round. Yeah, just steal a game in the wild card round.
No,
they could.
I totally agree. I think the Colts are a much more interesting team than we thought they were. I think they'll probably, quote unquote, come back down to earth, but who knows? In the AFC South, I think anything can happen. This was the game that we talked about a little bit earlier. The Patriots go into New York, and well, they beat the New York Jets 15-10. Zach Wilson struggled mightily. I think it should be the end for him there. I think they should get rid of him. They have done Zach Wilson a disservice by drafting him to a team without an offensive-minded head coach. Your thoughts on this, Jay Blaze?
This is an ugly game, and dude, you just feel bad for Zach. Like, he got it together towards the end, but it was too little, too late, and you're going like you see the Jets fans, like, they're tired of it. They're flipping him off and stuff. It's bad.
Their anger is misguided. They need to be angry at They need to be angry at Woody Johnson and whoever the hell their GM is, because they should not. They need to. I like Robert Saleh as a head coach, but they need to get an offensive coordinator in there, not named Nathaniel fucking Hackett, because clearly he's not the guy. The only reason why Nathaniel Hackett is in New York is because of his ties to Aaron Rodgers. Well, guess what? Aaron Rodgers ain't there no more. So now it's all on Nathaniel Hackett.
And I guess he has a very complex offense. How is he good for Zach Wilson? Like, you want a simplified offense for Zach.
It's
like, get him
absolutely crazy.
Get him some easy catches with some tight ends, and it makes no sense.
Dude, look, quick slants, bubble screens, like, get the kid's confidence up, man. Honestly, I actually felt more confident in the Hail Mary than I did any other pass of the game, because we all know Zach Wilson has a fucking cannon for an arm. And that's really that's kind of a mess. Miami J, your thoughts on the Patriots beating the New York Jets 15-10?
Yeah, I mean, I expected it. What can you say about it, really? At this point, the Jets, it's a sorry situation over there.
Yeah, man.
And it's a sorry situation in New England, too, but somebody had to win it.
Pro Special says Carson Wentz to the Jets. Look, Carson Wentz, he's the best quarterback available. Unfortunately, the media, for whatever reason, just doesn't like Carson Wentz. They think he's terrible and he's a turnover machine and blah, 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 blah. Look, he threw 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions his first and only year in Indianapolis. Frank Reich didn't want to cut him. Their kooky fucking pill-addicted owner, Jim Irsay, did, because he was feeling the heat. 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Then Carson Wentz goes to the Washington Redskins, where his coach is who? Defensive-minded Ron Rivera. Coaching matters, gentlemen. Carson Wentz had all of his best years when he had offensive head coaches. As soon as he went to Washington, where Ron Rivera is the defensive head coach, he was absolutely fucking terrible. What do you guys think? Here's another question. Apollo asks, he says, do you think that if the Vikings lose a few more games, the Jets try to trade for Kirk Cousins or another QB? They got to do something. What do you think?
I don't think they do. I think they might try. I don't think they're going to be successful at it. I think the Jets just got to calm down and chuck it up to a last season, and
charge it to the game.
Charge it to the game.
Your thoughts, Steve Blaze? Do you think they should try to trade for Kirk Cousins?
It wouldn't be a terrible idea, but dude, 1-2, it's tough to get back from, and you have the Dolphins in your division. So if the division was up for grabs, maybe.
Yeah, that's the thing. They have no viable way to the playoffs yet.
Cigar Man 85 wants to know: will Ezekiel Elliott rush for over 100 yards against the Cowboys? That's an interesting question. What do you think, Jay Blaze?
He could. I think he has a pretty good line, and they seem to really want to rush the ball. But this is the problem with Zeke. He gets a couple games where he's feeling himself, and then he'll just lay up stinkers because the treads are very thin on him.
No, I totally agree. And he's only 28 years old. It's absolutely incredible. Your thoughts? What do you think, Miami J? Do you think he's going to rush for over 100 against Cowboys?
He could if they play him enough.
Yeah,
he hasn't really got many touches lately. I mean, and I don't think Bill Belichick's the guy that's going to say, "Hey Zeke, this is your old team. Go get some revenge." So,
I mean, maybe not, but I'll tell you what, the best way to handle Dallas is to run the football, as the Arizona Cardinals showed us this last week, running for over 200 yards.
Yeah.
And the last I looked, listen, Zeke Elliott might be on the down, he might be on the back end, the back nine, but he's better than any Arizona Cardinals running back that they have on that roster. So we'll see. I don't think he runs for 100 yards. I think I'll give Zeke 85 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I could see a couple touchdowns in him for sure.
Okay, very good. This was actually quite a shootout. So Bryce Young didn't play in this game. He was hurt. Geno Smith absolutely lit it up. The Seahawks, I think they stubbed their toe in week 1, but I think they're starting to look like they did last year. They're going to surprise a lot of people. Dude, listen, man. The Seattle Seahawks have offensive weapons. They've got they've got K-Dub the third back there, number 1. Then they've got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith and Jigma. It's Jackson Smith and Jigba. That is one of the top. That is probably one of the top receiving triple threats in the NFL. I think the Seattle Seahawks win. I don't think they win the NFC West, but I think they probably lose the NFC West, probably by maybe 2 or 3 games. I think they take one from the Niners in Seattle. I think they split it with San Francisco. I've got San Francisco winning the West, but I don't think the Seahawks are going to be too far behind. I think the Seahawks could win 11 or 12 games this year. What do you think, Jay Blaze?
So I do like Seattle. I think they have limitations with quarterbacks with Geno. I think he has a high floor but a low ceiling.
Okay. Low ceiling and high floor. Okay, very good. So he's not going to lose you a lot of games, but he's not going to win a lot of games either, right?
And I think Andy Dalton gave the Panthers a better chance to win, but you got to stick with Bryce Young and get him some bad football, because he's going to be good in the next 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
And I think Seattle's a wild card team that could do some damage.
And I think Andy Dalton, like you said last time we were on, I think he is the perfect backup quarterback. Andy Dalton, he's experienced. I don't think he's really ever had a terrible year. And like we said last time, he led the Bengals to 6 straight playoff appearances, including 3 division titles. So Andy Dalton has the experience and he has the winning pedigree. What do you think, Miami J?
I think the Seahawks I think they're better than Detroit. And after watching Dallas last week or this week, I think they're better than Dallas. So I can definitely see them as the top wildcard team in the
Oh, wow. So you think the Seahawks are better than the Cowboys today?
I do.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Oh, wow. All
hey,
right.
Donovan, I'm so sorry, but I just got a pretty weird text. I'm going to have to run out.
Okay, no problem.
Hey, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, no problem at all.
For the next one, I just got to run out. Thanks,
Nope, you're good, man. Take care. So Miami J's got to go handle some business. So we'll finish up here. So let's go to the next game here. Let's go to yes. So Kansas City is back on track. Everyone was worried about their offense and are they going to be the same and this and that and the third. Now they did play the Chicago Bears, and the Chicago Bears are, well, they're the Bears. They're an abject dumpster fire right now, but the Chiefs did what they had to do. I think that this game was expected. I don't think it's a bad sign or a bad day for anybody. I think this was what was supposed to happen. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this was a absolute beatdown, and the Bears saw it coming. Yep. Like they probably had this on the calendar saying, "Oh shit, that's today." And I did like Belichick's comments on Kelce's catch. He's like, "That's probably the catch of his career," just because he
all right.
Belichick knew what was going to happen that night.
Oh my God. Yeah. Bill Belichick is a funny. He is low key, very, very funny.
Yeah. Dry humor,
dry
top tier.
Absolutely. This was a game that the Raiders could have won, but I think Josh McDaniels just got out coached. I think Josh McDaniels is one of these guys who's a better coordinator than he is a head coach. Brilliant offensive coordinator, but he has proven that he can't really handle the responsibility of being a head coach. This is his 2nd or 3rd year in Oakland. He did okay in Denver. He did draft Tim Tebow in the 1st round, which tells you about his decision-making. what are your thoughts on now Jimmy Garoppolo is in concussion protocol. They're going to have to rely on Aiden O'Connell if he can't go. What are your thoughts on this particular game, Blaze?
See, I think the Raiders made a mistake, like firing their interim for McDaniels, because the interim coach was coaching really well. He got into the playoffs after the Gruden
Yes.
Stuff. And dude, he had that team on lockstep, and you can't get rid of a guy if he has a team clicking.
Yes.
And for a guy who in Denver, he had issues like actually coaching like men up. Like
yes.
he can like get a QB up to snuff. Like Mac Jones had his best year,
Yes.
his rookie year with McDaniels. Dude, he's a quarterback guru.
Yep.
And that's what he is.
I think that's all he is. And that's really saying something. I think the Raiders probably fire McDaniels after the season, but McDaniels will never be without a job, man. Because I'll tell you what, when the Raiders fire him, Bill Belichick, come back for round number 3, man. We can certainly use you out here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to so now this was an interesting game. The Rams, I was surprised. The Rams had many, many chances to put this game away. Cincinnati hung around. Joe Burrow had a terrible game, but Jamar Chase, 12 catches, 145 yards, no touchdowns, but the Bengals scratch it out. What are your thoughts here?
I think the Bengals just needed it more. Like they're on the end of their window. I think the Rams are coming up on a resurgence with they have a really good young wideout that came out of nowhere.
Yes.
And I think
Nakua Puka.
Yeah, I'm hoping the Rams get Caleb Williams, and maybe Stafford goes to a contender later this year or next year.
Dude, Caleb Williams to the Rams is a match made in heaven. Oh my God.
Exactly.
Can you imagine the stuff that Sean McVay could draw up for that guy? The Eagles won convincingly yesterday, 25-11. Jalen Hurts didn't have his best game, but he did throw for 277 yards. He threw for 1 touchdown and ran for another 2. I think our defense, it showed up and it showed out. We stifled Baker Mayfield. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin were non-factors. They couldn't run the football. I mean, look, the Eagles haven't played their best football yet, and we are still 3-0. I think that is a very good sign. We've got the Washington Commanders next. That should be a win. By the time we get to the Dolphins, we should be 6-0 or 5-1. What are your thoughts on this particular game on either side?
This was a good victory because the Buccaneers had a lot of confidence and Baker was playing really well.
Yep.
And to stifle like a team that is on a hot streak is pretty impressive.
On the road too, man. So shout out to the Eagles. And here, of course, the 28-16 game. I think this is a one-off for Dallas. Yes, this was a bad loss, but every team loses games that they're not supposed to lose. And again, I'm not making excuses for the Cowboys, but when you're missing 3 offensive linemen and one of the best cornerbacks in the league, and you're going, you're on the West Coast, that's going to fuck with your head a little bit. They were probably feeling themselves a little bit. They probably didn't realize the effect that the 3 offensive linemen and Trayvon Diggs had on the game. Okay, so they went to Arizona and threw up a stinker. I don't think it's cause for panic. I think they regroup themselves. If I'm Mike McCarthy, I throw out the tape. Look, guys, charge it to the game. It was a bad day in the desert. Let's regroup and come back strong for the next game. What are your thoughts as a Cowboys fan?
So Trayvon is a weapon. Like, dude, they don't throw him the ball. They don't throw to his side anymore because he is a turnover machine.
Yes.
And that is a huge weapon to lose. And then with Dak Prescott, like not being able, I don't think he's that guy.
No.
And I just saw that game just slipping through their finger, and Mike McCarthy making that terrible call in the third quarter. It was a disaster.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was absolutely
And I think Dallas to save Mike McCarthy, they need to get to the NFC Championship. Yes. And I don't see that happening. I do not see
it either. I don't see it happening either, man. They better get that defense. Listen, the defense is hellified, but dude, you give up 200 yards on the ground to the Cardinals, man, like something needs to be done.
And if we have another team emerge in the wild card hunt, because right now Seattle is the top wild card candidate.
Yes.
You might get the Cowboys to be pushed out of there.
Yes. No, dude, it is absolutely possible, man. I could definitely see that happening. Will it happen? Could it happen? Yes. Will it happen? Probably not. But that doesn't mean that it won't. That doesn't mean that
I think
it won't.
the Saints or the Buccaneers could be that other wild card team. So
I
there's
agree.
one more slot either for the Cowboys, or if another team comes up swinging, they might get pushed out.
I think the Saints are a sleeper team. I think if Derek Carr doesn't get hurt, I think they win that game in Green Bay. So keep an eye on the Saints, man. Hopefully Derek Carr doesn't miss too many weeks, because there's only so much you can do with Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
And finally, dude, this game was an absolute shit show. 70-20. The Dolphins absolutely pulverized the Broncos in Miami. The weird thing is that a lot of people noticed that Sean Payton left Russell Wilson in when they were down by 50. They were down by 50 and he kept Russell Wilson in. Is that something? Is it nothing? What are your thoughts here?
I think Sean Payton is setting up to get Jarrett Stidham in that QB1. Because I think he's saying to Russell, hey, eat this shit.
Yep.
Eat it.
Yep.
Because, dude, they're putting up video game type numbers. And they're without their second best wideout.
Dude, yes, exactly. They didn't have Jalen Waddle. They had some no-name running back run for 200 yards. Raheem Mostert scored 4 touchdowns. Like, it was an absolute free-for-all. I think that if somebody is getting benched next week, if the Broncos lose to the Bears, Russell Wilson gets benched. If the Bears lose to the Broncos, Justin Fields gets benched. That'll be a very, very interesting game. And yeah, Zevian points out, he says they had 70 with like 8 minutes left. Dude, honestly, man, they could have scored 90 if they wanted. Could have scored 91 if they wanted to.
The record is 72. They decided not to kick the field goal.
Jesus Christ. Cigarman85 says the game was epic. I witnessed live, so he was there. That is cool as shit.
Wild.
Okay, it is now time for my top 10 power rankings. And away we go. Oops, wait a minute. Sorry about that. So my number 10 team is the Detroit Lions. I could have them higher, but they do have that loss. I do still think that they're still going to win the NFC North. I think Green Bay got lucky. Against New Orleans. Jordan Love is having a great year, but I think the Detroit Lions are the better team. At number 9, I have the Seattle Seahawks. Yes, they stubbed their toe in week 1, but they've had 2 very convincing wins against 2 decent teams. They're not going to win the NFC West because that title is going to belong to the 49ers. But the Seattle Seahawks are going to be very, very formidable. Number 8, I've got the Cleveland Browns, man. Look, don't look now, guys, but the Cleveland Browns are 2-1, and they have one of the best defenses in all of football. I saw there was one play where Myles Garrett sacked both the quarterback and the offensive lineman. It was unbelievable. Oops, did it again. My number 5, that's not what I was supposed to do. Well, I guess we'll just go in disorder. My number 5 team. At number 5, I've got the Buffalo Bills. They're back on track again. They lost to the New York Jets in week 1, but they absolutely curb stomped the Washington Commanders, bringing them back down to earth. My number 6 team is the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, they lost a heartbreaker to the Indianapolis Colts, but they got screwed in that game, and Justin Tucker missed a field goal. I still think they're a solid team. Even though they have lost J.K. Dobbins, they've got another guy, and I forgot what his name is already. I forgot what the backup running back name is, but he is very, very good. My number 7 team, I dropped the Cowboys all the way down to 7th. I couldn't drop them out of the top 10 because they are the Dallas Cowboys. They are still one of the best teams in the league. They're really just being penalized for stubbing their toe. At number 4, I've got the Kansas City Chiefs. They just boat raced the Chicago Bears. They are who we thought they were. They've got Travis Kelce back. Chris Jones is back in the lineup, and the Chiefs appear to be right back on. Yes, Ford. Thank you. Ford is their backup running back. Yeah, I think the Chiefs are going to be okay. They're going to end up winning the AFC West. So they're 2-1 right now. They're probably a 13, 14, possibly even a 15-win team. Number 3, I've got the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles have not played their best football, yet we're still 3-0. We're battling illnesses and sicknesses and flus and injuries. And dude, 2 of our first 3 games were on the road, and we have won all 3 of them. So I've got the Eagles at number 3. At number 2, the Miami Dolphins, man. They just hung 70, but they did it to the Denver Broncos, which is a bad football team. That being said, you beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. But number 1 is the San Francisco 49ers. They are the most balanced team in football. They have a great offense and an unbelievable defense headed up by Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, Charvarius Ward, and the rest of those boys. So what are your thoughts on my power rankings? Do you have any disagreements? Do you have any improvements, additions, subtractions? What say you? Oh, I'm sorry, Jay Blaze. My bad. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think you switched the Cowboys to the Lions,
Yeah.
and I'm still not convinced on the Browns.
Okay. All right. Not convinced.
But that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Paula says, I'm curious why you, he says, I'm curious why you don't have the Steelers ranked despite them beating the Browns. That, to me, that's just an administrative error. I forgot about that. So if I had it to do again, with that information, I'd probably put the Browns. I'd move the Browns to number 11. I'd put Seattle at 8, Detroit at 9, and Pittsburgh at 10. Okay, very good. Your closing thoughts on this week's games, upsets, et cetera, et cetera.
No, I'm all good. I think the Saints would have reached your top 10 if Derek Carr had stayed in the game.
Very good, very good. That is going to do it for the 3rd episode of Shart Sports Talk. We will see you guys next time.